At issue this Sunday morning, which path will New Jersey choose? This November, Garden State voters will choose their next governor. I set out across the state to talk to voters and the candidates who are trying to win their support. Ahead, the communities and the kitchen table concerns that could decide the election.
NBC10 at Issue starts now.
I'm Mayk. On this edition of NBC10 at Issue, we're taking my Battleground Politics series across New Jersey, home to an election that's being watched by many political observers as a referendum on the first year of the Trump administration. It is also about the direction of New Jersey. I talked to both Democrat Mikie Sherrill and Republican Jack Ciattarelli on the campaign trail. We caught up with Ciattarelli during his campaign stop in Old Bridge in Middlesex County. Jack, thank you for taking some time.
Thank you, Laura.
I know this is a busy part of the race for you. I've been traveling around New Jersey this week talking to voters, asking what they would like to see. I'm sure it's no surprise to you. Affordability costs are top of mind for a lot of people. What will be cheaper in New Jersey if you're elected?
Number one, taxes. We've got to
Which taxes?
We got to reduce the size and cost of state government so we can lower taxes for businesses and individuals. That's the income tax side. And with a new school funding formula, we can lower property taxes. And those are two things that I've put very specific proposals forth on how best to do that.
So your property tax proposal, you would cap the amount that people pay based on the percentage of the assessment.
For first-time home buyers, let's cap it at 1%, the assessed value of the home for the first 5 years of home ownership. And for seniors, let's freeze property taxes once you hit age 70, frozen for life.
So that property tax money, that's money that's being used for services right now. How would you replace that money?
The state has to partner with the municipalities to make that happen. We do that right now with a number of different rebate programs, but not all those rebate programs are fair, nor are they easy to administrate. I like programs that are easy and fair and easy to administrate.
So would the state replace money that the municipalities would otherwise be getting for things like police, schools?
Listen, our community is going to be safe under Jack Ciattarelli if that's where you're going. We get a new attorney general. I appoint the 21 county prosecutors, and we'll be a law and order state once again.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically about the money. Are you going to replace the exact amount of money that local governments could lose?
Yeah, we are not going to leave
the
municipalities high and dry. We're going to work in partnership with them, make sure they provide the vital services to their citizens that citizens are accustomed to.
Replace that exact amount of money, though?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me talk about energy costs. I know that's something that people are also talking about. They've talked to me about it. I'm sure they've talked to you about it as well. In your first year, what can people expect to see on their bills in their first year?
In my first day, Executive Order number 3 is we're pulling out of RGGI. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has failed New Jersey. Electricity's through the roof, the air's no cleaner, and $300 to $500 million of ratepayer dollars going to other states. That stops on day one. The Democratic governor of Pennsylvania is not in RGGI. We shouldn't be either.
It's a little bit more complicated than that. There are legal issues in Pennsylvania. It's been a legal process.
There's no legal hurdles in New Jersey. The governor put us in RGGI 7.5 years ago by executive order. I'm taking us out. It has failed New Jersey.
So you're saying you're doing that on day one. So let me ask you again, for your first year, what are people going to see on their electricity bills?
It's what they're not going to see. They're not going to see.
How much do you think it could go down?
It's a $300 to $500 million savings a year, depending on how much you use. But we're also going to start using natural gas to generate electricity again. We're going to expand our nuclear footprint in South Jersey. There'll be no wind farms off our Jersey shore. I'll reopen and repurpose the plants that Phil Murphy shut down. We were an electricity exporter when Phil Murphy took office. Now we have to import it through exchanges, and we're paying through the nose. By the end of my first term, we'll be energy independent again.
And can you give me any expectation? People sit there, they make their budgets, they want to know, hey, if I vote for Jack Ciattarelli,
what's the size of your home, Laura?
It's coming down.
What's the size of your home?
I live in a condo, so it's pretty small.
Okay, we're going to save you $50 a month.
Okay, in a condo, you're going to save $50 a month. Okay.
I think that's $600 a year.
Okay. What about a 4-bedroom house?
Okay, quadruple it.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna. All right. So let's talk about something else involving money, but not how much people have been paying, about money that is or is not coming to New Jersey for that Gateway project. We were out this morning talking to commuters.
Now, Laura, you've done your homework here, haven't you? The Gateway project is managed by the Gateway Commission. The Gateway Commission's checking account is flush. The government shutdown would have to continue for another 2 months before that project comes to a stop. I don't expect the government shutdown to go on for another 2 months.
We're not talking about the government shutdown, though, but President Trump said the project is terminated.
He's playing hardball negotiations with Democrats, and one of which is my opponent.
So
She signed.
do you think
wait,
that's
wait,
not true? Do you
She
think it's not
signed.
true that
Yeah,
it's
she voted yes on the continuing resolutions when there were shutdowns during the Biden administration. She's now voting no on the same continuing resolutions, but then goes out and says how important the Gateway project is. If it's that important, then vote yes on the continuing resolutions. Get the government open again.
So when President Trump says it's terminated, do you think that's not true?
I think he's playing hardball negotiations. But as governor of New Jersey, I'm due right by the state. And by the way, it's important for the governor of New Jersey to have a relationship with the president. I do, and we'll get things done for New Jersey.
Have you talked to him about this project yet?
I have.
And what was that conversation? How did that go?
He understands it's important to the region.
And did he commit to the federal government's part in it?
He understands it's important to the region.
What does that mean?
He understands it's a very important project to the region.
Did you get a commitment?
How you doing, Laura?
You're not going to tell me about your conversation with the president. That's okay. If the federal government does not come through on that, what do you do then?
I don't anticipate the federal government not coming through on that project. It's the quintessential federal infrastructure project. It's critically important to the region. It's critically important to the region's economy. And this region's economy is critically important to the national economy. That project's going to get done.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about something that came up in the debate. Your opponent, Mikie Sherrill, made some accusations against you about your former business regarding opioids. Can you explain what the products that your former business, what they actually were, so people understand what you were doing? What were they?
Mikie Sherrill cracked. She doesn't like the revelations that she didn't walk at her college graduation. She's built her whole political brand about her attendance at the Naval Academy. And we find out that she was punished while she was there. We find out she's trading defense stocks while sitting on the House Armed Services Committee. We find out she tripled her net worth while only 6 years in Congress. We find out she paid federal fines for breaking federal law on stock trades and stock reporting. She cracked, and where she went next, a baseless, reckless lie about my career. And we are filing a defamation suit.
You haven't filed that yet, though, right?
We are waiting for technical guidance from the regulatory body that governs campaign finance here in New Jersey.
Okay.
But we are filing that defamation suit.
Okay. What can you explain to people, though, about what
I don't have to explain anything, Laura. I didn't do anything wrong. What the congressman,
I'm not saying you did.
What the congressman has to explain is the baseless, reckless lie that will result in a defamation suit.
I want to say one more thing about one more region that we're heading to later on our tour, which is Atlantic City, under state oversight. What would it look like under a Ciattarelli administration?
It'll be an oversight that gets things done. Nothing has changed in Atlantic City, nor in Trenton, nor in Newark, nor any of our other major urban areas under Phil Murphy, because he's been a failure. We need a change here in New Jersey, and that's what this election is all about.
Anything specific you want to do there?
No, what do where?
In Atlantic City.
Urban revitalization. We got to get people to want to live there again, as we do in Trenton, as we do in Newark.
I know you've got to get on the road. Thank you so much. Great to see you in person. That was my interview with Republican nominee for New Jersey Governor Jack Ciattarelli in Middlesex County. The next day in Mercer County, I spoke with his opponent, Democratic nominee for Governor Mikie Sherrill in Mercer County. Now, she had a little less time available between stops, but we got a chance to ask some questions about her policies and the campaign. Congressman, thank you for taking some time. I know your time is very limited, so I'm going to get right into the issue of cost, which I've been traveling around New Jersey this week. I've been hearing about it from people. I know you hear about it from people. You've got this plan to freeze utility rates. Why do you think that you would have the ability to freeze rates that are not set by the government?
They are negotiated by the government, and that's why the utility companies have said they're open to this negotiation. That's why as we freeze those rate hikes, I can defray those costs from some of the money coming in through the BPU from Reggie, for example. And I think what you're seeing here is a different kind of leadership. This idea that the people of New Jersey are at a crisis point now regarding affordability, and I'm not acting in a way that's going to create lower costs in 10 years. I'm taking action right now to address these needs.
If this is something that is held up in court, for example, what do you do then?
I don't see how the courts could hold up a negotiation of rate prices and then defraying the costs with some of the Reggie funds. That's well within the governor's power.
So you look at this as a negotiation.
I don't look at it as a negotiation. I look at it as bringing the people to the table and demanding we do better, because don't forget that some of these utility companies have made over $1 billion in profit, so they are well able to get these rates down immediately, and then we can drive in some of the Reggie funds.
What do you say to New Jerseyans who say, okay, you want to freeze the rates? I want them to go lower. I don't want them to freeze where they are. What do you say to them?
That's why I'm driving an energy arsenal, if you will, into our state, because every electron we produce here is going to drive down costs, because our market has been so screwed up by PJM and there's so much power being sucked out of it by data centers in Virginia that buying on the market's really expensive. Producing here at home is cheaper, which is why I will right away cut through red tape and permitting to get solar on landfills, to get battery storage power. That is a very quick proposition. We will also modernize our natural gas infrastructure to drive more power out of it, but drive down carbon emissions, and then at the same time have a longer term plan for nuclear.
So your plan would be in place for a year, the freeze for a year. What do you think specifically that you could accomplish in that time, in your first year in office?
So I am going to, like I said, immediately start to drive power into the grid. So things like solar power, that can be done really quickly. Battery storage power can be done really quickly. This is all adding a lot of power.
And how much do you think people would see a reduction in their bills in that first year?
So they're not going to see their bills go up. As we drive massive amounts of power into it, we'll start to work their bills down.
All right, last question. Let's talk about, I want to give you an opportunity to expand on something that you talked about then, if we don't have any more time, in the debate. And you accused Jack Ciattarelli of killing tens of thousands of people with his previous business. What evidence do you have of that?
So, as I put out, Jack Ciattarelli had a publishing company where he published opioid misinformation, saying opioids were safe, that they were not addictive. And we've seen at that time, too, as he was publishing this, thousands of people were dying. And then on top of that, he worked with one of these opioid manufacturers who had a new product at a time when, again, thousands of New Jerseyans are dying. At the U.S. Attorney's Office, we were working to shut down what we call pill mills, those doctors over-prescribing opioids as people were getting addicted and dying. And at that same time, he is working with an opioid manufacturer as a new product out so that he can have a new platform so that you can get more access through your doctor to these drugs, because the opioid manufacturers didn't want to shut down this cash cow. And so he is working on this platform, which one person said, and I remember this because it was so offensive, it was like a choose your own adventure, meaning you could go one way if the doctor says no, try this, try that kind of.
But that's different than killing people.
I will tell you that the same opioid company he was working with had to pay over $4 billion in a settlement fee because of the real harm they did to people. So I think it's very connected in most people's minds, this real harm, and in the opioid crisis as people are dying.
I know you have to go. Let me just, you mentioned the gateway thing. I just wanted to ask you, because I asked Jack Ciattarelli about it. He said he actually had talked to the president about the gateway project.
Yeah, he calls the president all the time asking his advice. He doesn't seem to get very good advice.
Have you talked to the president about it at all? Thank you. Thank you, Congressman.
When this edition of NBC10 At Issue returns, South Jersey shifts, the changes that have made Gloucester County much more competitive in recent years.
This is NBC10 At Issue.
On this edition of NBC10 At Issue, we've been crisscrossing the state, taking battleground politics on the road across New Jersey.
On our very first stop in Collingswood, Camden County, we heard about the issue that would come up again and again on our trip: affordability.
We'd like to see lower taxes.
Lower taxes. We've heard a lot about affordability stuff in this race, from taxes, energy bills, a lot of that stuff. Is that all wrapped in for you, or is it taxes is the top one?
No, they're all wrapped in because our utility bills are high too.
In South Jersey, Gloucester County is changing. And at the county headquarters in Washington Township, there are Ciattarelli signs and high hopes.
Tell me what your feeling is about the race right now. How are you feeling about the race?
We're feeling great. The energy's high down here.
Adam Wingate is mayor of Harrison Township and chair of the Republican Party in Gloucester County.
Gloucester County is a swing county. It's purple. It was heavy blue since 1980, but is now turning red.
So it's changed in your lifetime?
Absolutely, just over the last decade.
Republicans have boosted their numbers in this county. In the 8 years since Governor Murphy was first elected and won Gloucester County, Republicans have nearly cut Democrats' advantage in half. Jack Ciattarelli won the county 4 years ago. President Trump won it last year. I asked former Senate President Steve Sweeney, a Democrat, about Republicans' push here.
They've got high hopes for this county. Do they have good reason for that?
Listen, it's been a dogfight for the last several years, ever since Donald Trump, to be honest with you.
Sweeney represented Gloucester County and Trenton. He also ran for governor in the primary. He's seen things tighten here between the two parties.
We lost one election last year by 400 votes, which means 200 votes would have flipped it. So what it comes down to is whoever gets their vote out's going to win. We think we're going to do it.
When it comes to issues important to voters here, Sweeney points to affordability.
It's a huge concern that after spending all this money educating young people that they're going to move to Pennsylvania or to Delaware because they can't afford a house here.
I'm sure you heard this kind of thing on the campaign trail, but if this has been an issue for a long time and you've had 2 terms of a Democrat in the governor's office, why pick another one?
Well, because she actually has a plan to make things work.
Wingate argues Ciattarelli has a plan to bring costs down, and he says energy from last year's presidential race helps Ciattarelli.
What do you say to voters who maybe haven't been super happy with the Trump administration and are just trying to decide whether they should go with Ciattarelli or Sherrill?
I mean, Jack Ciattarelli and then also your county commissioners and your legislative teams that are out there on the ballot this year can actually help your back pocket issues.
Ahead on this edition of NBC10 at Issue, you'll hear more from voters about the race for governor as my battleground politics tour across New Jersey continues.
This is NBC10 at Issue.
As we make our battleground tour across New Jersey, no road trip across New Jersey is complete without a stop in a Jersey diner. Inside the Golden Dawn Diner in Burlington County, it's lunchtime and election time. Have you been paying attention to the governor's race?
Always.
We sat down with Holly Riley.
So I started to pay attention more, presidential. And then I was like, the little guys really make more of a say. And then I got into the more of state politics kind of thing.
So you know it matters?
Yes, 100%.
New Jersey voters are choosing a new governor as Governor Murphy wraps up his 2 terms in office. Riley says she voted for him the first time but chose Jack Ciattarelli 4 years ago and says this year Ciattarelli leans more toward the things that are important to her.
Does what you've seen from Governor Murphy and the policies that you've seen in the past 8 years, does that have anything to do with your vote now? Does that influence it?
So, yes, I don't think any of COVID was handled well.
She also doesn't like the state's immigration policies. Ciattarelli has supporters here today.
I'm Republican, so you know who I'm voting for. Ciattarelli. So I'm voting for him. Also, property taxes are too high, and electric's too high.
So does Democratic nominee Mikie Sherrill. Tom Millardi says he already voted by mail.
I chose Sherrill. I voted for Sherrill. She's a Montclair person, and frankly, I spent 33 years in Montclair, and she's a veteran, and I found that to be really very helpful.
Ken Lee says he plans to take advantage of New Jersey's early voting.
Who do you think is going to be fair to the, to the people, not to the president,
Does the president have anything to do with your vote?
Yes.
In what way?
Towards Mikie Sherrill.
Okay. That's pushing you towards her.
Yes.
The election now less than 2 weeks away.
It's going to be close, so we'll see. People have to get out and vote. If you don't vote and your person doesn't win, you can't say anything.
Ahead on this edition of NBC10 at Issue, my battleground politics tour across New Jersey continues. The Trump factor, how the president is influencing the choice voters will make this November.
This is NBC10 at Issue.
On the road heading south, we're coming through Jersey City, going through Hudson County right now. And the North Jersey counties that we've been driving through, there were a lot of people who commute into New York for work each day. As we visit different communities, we're hearing issues important to them. Here, the Gateway Tunnel project could impact their commute. We met Anne Marie Mitchell in Hackensack.
The Gateway, I'm so annoyed at. I really like to go through. I'm very upset with the president for saying that he was going to, terminate it, because that does have an effect on us. And our area here is getting more populous, so a lot of people are moving in.
Do you think that the next governor might be able to do something to get that project back on track?
Yes, I think he will. I think Jack will.
We're hearing from voters not just on who they're backing, but why in the race between Jack Ciattarelli and Mikie Sherrill.
To be frank with you, I want a woman in office, and I want her to just more. I want more programs. I guess, you know, right now with everything going on, I would like to see more programs for, you know, like, I guess, you know, the underserved.
Voters with hopes for what they'll do. A new Rutgers Eagleton poll finds Sherrill up 5 points over Ciattarelli, but that's within the poll's margin of error. President Trump has also been an issue in the race.
I don't want a Trump supporter.
Does that make a difference to you, the fact that President Trump is supporting him?
Absolutely. We're Trumpers.
52% of voters in the poll saying he's a major factor in their vote, 14% saying he's a minor factor, 34% said not a factor at all. Voters can be motivated by national and local issues.
The question in the New Jersey race, though, is if you're frustrated with the federal government right now, who are you blaming? And what does that mean for Mikie Sherrill or Jack Ciattarelli?
In the midst of a shutdown.
Yeah.
Kelly Dittmar is an associate professor of political science at Rutgers Camden.
One question is how much will kind of the no kings, anti-Trump kind of rallies translate into support for Mikie Sherrill? And on the other side, you know, support for the president, enthusiasm about some of the policy changes. Will that translate into voting in this gubernatorial race? Are people seeing the connection between national politics of this moment and state politics?
That does it for this edition of NBC10 At Issue. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.